Hi there, everyone.
Hello.
We
Hi.
are now live on Facebook and we've already got people joining us. Hi there to Liv. Good morning back to you. Hope you're doing well. We've got a really great topic to talk about today. I'm going to let Rubia introduce our topic for the day and let us know what it's all about.
Hi, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about India and more specifically our Open Challenge for next year, which is in Darjeeling. So I've got a few facts and figures for you to introduce us to that subject. So India is the second largest population in the world with 1.3 billion people, and they all live on the seventh largest country by total area. From northern India to southern India, it spans the same distance as Canada to Mexico. So just to give you a scale of how big India actually is, it can boast being the second largest English-speaking English-speaking country after the US. Hindi is considered its mother tongue, but only 25% of people who live in India actually speak Hindi. A lot of the others speak one of 22 other languages, not just dialects. So yeah, there's sayings where if two Indian people meet on a street, there's chances are that they won't actually understand what the other one's saying. That's how diverse language can be.
Wow.
So it's an amazing country. We do trips to other parts, but next year our Open Challenge will be in Darjeeling, which is in the far northeastern side in the state of West Bengal, and it's in the foothill of the Himalayas, which form a natural border between Nepal and India. Darjeeling itself, the name means land of the thunderbolt, and that comes from the Tibetan word dorje, which is the thunderbolt staff of one of the Hindu gods, Indra, and ling, which means spot or place. It's famous for obviously its tea, but it's also home to the country's oldest railway, which was built in 1879, and it's fondly named the Toy Train, which I'm sure we'll be talking about a little bit later. It was given UNESCO World Heritage status in 1999. Also, it's the only place in India with views of Everest, which I'm sure Lexi will be mentioning when she talks through our itinerary. So back to you, Lexi.
Absolutely, thank you. I mean, wow, what an amazing country India is. It's huge, like you said. There's just so much to offer. It's one of our favourite places to go, and we've operated treks there for loads and loads of years, and it's always a favourite, and we get some fantastic feedback. So we're super excited about this trek. It's like you say, it's a really, really beautiful location. So it's on the border between India and Nepal. The scenery is spectacular, and I'm going to try and share some pictures as I'm going through of the trekking so you can see what you're going to be experiencing. So let me just get those pictures up here. Hopefully you can see those. So the itinerary, it takes you on a really, really spectacular route. It's on the Singalila Ridge, which, like I say, is on the border between Nepal and India. And you have such a variety of different scenery that you get. You've got these amazing mountain views like you can see here. You have this fantastic kind of walks through, forests and, these beautiful open areas where you're above the clouds and staying in tea houses along the way, so you've got a comfortable place to sleep. The views, as far as the eye can see, are amazing, and of course, like Rubia mentioned, having views of Everest is certainly a highlight. It's not just Everest, and of course we can't guarantee viewings of Everest. It is subject to weather conditions, of course, but also amazing 8,000-meter peaks like Kanchenjunga, Makalu, and Lhotse as well. So you're completely spoilt. There's also a really small possibility that you might see some of the local wildlife as well. So there's red panda in the area, so if you keep your eyes peeled you might spot one of those. There's loads and loads of bird species as well, wild boar, even lots of varieties of deer, so a really kind of a big range of wildlife as well. If you're interested in flowers, there's some amazing wildflowers along the way, rhododendron forests that you go through as well. So it's a kind of a really spectacular mixture, and of course the tea plantations that you get to see as well. So it's a kind of a little bit of everything. So after you finish your trek, which it goes up to a high point, the highest point on the trek is 3,636 meters, so reasonably high altitude section just as you reach the Sandakpur Peak, which is the highest point of the trek, and that's where you get all those amazing views. You come back from the trekking to Darjeeling, and you get to enjoy a ride on the toy train, which is just spectacular. We'll show some pictures of that in a little while as well. You have a bit of time to do some sightseeing as well. There's lots of amazing shopping and markets and things like that, and have a really kind of rounded view of not just the amazing scenery but the local culture as well. It's a spectacular trip. It's something that is suitable for everyone as long as you train adequately. So we grade the trip challenging, and that's kind of a sort of a 4 out of 5 scale in terms of the way that we rate our trip. So it is quite tough. You definitely need to train for it, but with plenty of time to go before the trip actually departs. You've got lots of time to prepare, so don't worry. It is tough. Like I say, it's 4 days of trekking. You've got lots of mountainous scenery, of course, that you're going to be trekking through, so lots of hills, ups and downs, and lots of kind of varieties of terrain as well, so it's definitely worth being prepared. But like I say, it is suitable for anyone, especially people that are looking to experience an amazing different culture and to take in kind of those wonderful views and highlights of the area. Thinking about highlights, Sarah, what would you say are kind of the highlights of the trip and India in general, I suppose?
Oh gosh, well, India is just a massive subject, isn't it? But Darjeeling and this area in particular, I went a couple of years ago to all around that part of India, and it's absolutely stunning. Just the town of Darjeeling, it's such a sort of bizarre combination because it was very much sort of built as a British hill station, so you've got lots of colonial architecture, but that sort of intermingles with all the local, we've got Buddhist culture up there. Also been up in the Himalayas and that close to Nepal and Tibet. You've got Buddhist monasteries, Buddhist prayer flags, more similar to what you typically expect in Nepal. We talked about the train. That is obviously a real highlight, the Himalayan Mountain Railway. It's called the toy train, but I think that almost does a bit of a disservice. That sort of, to me, conjures up these pictures of something like in a little park or something where you sit on the back. This is a proper steam train, which to any kind of fans of engines and steam trains out there, you would absolutely love. It's just a smaller version of the big industrial ones that we had in the UK. They're still exactly the same. You see them loading the coal and sort of shunting back and forth along the tracks. That's quite incredible. The tea plantation, obviously, you can't think of Darjeeling without thinking about tea, and that's just beautiful. There's something about the scenery, the tea plantations. It's very peaceful and serene, and just watching all the sort of pickers out there picking the leaves, and then you might go to a factory and actually see the process of how they make the tea, and of course taste it. And another thing actually that I think I really enjoyed, and I'd really recommend everyone goes to, if you're interested in mountains, which you probably are if you come on a trek like this, is the Himalayan Mountain Institute. So Darjeeling was actually where Tenzing Sherpa came from, and all the sort of mountaineering expeditions came through Darjeeling, and this was their base. So it's now dedicated to a museum of the whole area. You can see original artifacts from both the Mallory expedition, the Hillary expedition on Everest. So fantastic sort of like insight into what trekking was like back in those days, how things have moved on over time. And I think that's a real highlight as well. But yeah, on to India. Wow, India, as we touched on earlier, is such a vast country, and you can't sort of see all of India on one trip. You have to go back time after time, as most of us have. Jill, I know you're a big fan of India. What are your sort of favourite aspects of it?
Yeah, well, like you say, yes, I love India. Where to start? Because you've already covered what a big place it is, what a huge country it is, then there are so many different areas that with such diversities. The things that stick out are things like food. The food in different areas that you go will vary, which makes it so much more exciting. That's why I've been back time and time again to different areas, places. The people, there's something about the people for me, the colours, the smells. Take, for example, Rajasthan. I mean, it's a magical, magical state, full of historical buildings that have been what's the word? Converted is the word, into hotels, forts, castles, palaces. It's just such an exciting place. And the scenery, as you say, you've got the Himalayas in the north, in the south, you've got the more gentle hills of Kerala and the waterways and everything. So I would totally recommend, if you're in India for a trip like this, then extend it and take advantage of being there. Go, travel around a bit. For example, if you're up in the north, come down to the Golden Triangle. I mean, if you're in Darjeeling, you're traveling to Assam, which is the furthest eastern part of India, and again, that's absolutely fascinating and beautiful. So it just doesn't seem to stop. I mean, one thing I haven't mentioned, the festivals, the different religions, and so the different festivals. I've been there twice personally when it's been the Holi Festival, and it's the festival of colours, and gosh, what an experience that is. So it's just full of different experiences and surprises. Yeah, take full advantage of being there and travel around more is what I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is certainly something, if you are keen to come on this trek or any of our other open treks, to be honest, just if you are interested in staying on after the trek, just have a chat with us, and normally we're able to arrange that for you. It's certainly worth doing if you've got the time.
I would completely agree with that, and something that I kind of touched on a little bit earlier about how there's an opportunity potentially to spot wild animals. I had an amazing experience in India in one of the national parks where I saw tigers in the wild, and that was a magical experience. I never expected to see them. I was extremely lucky, and it's something that will stay with me forever. And like you say, India offers so much. It's something for everyone. So if you're particularly interested in architecture, you've got the Taj Mahal, you've got the beautiful scenery in Agra, and all of the areas of the Golden Triangle. It's just spectacular. So yeah, definitely take advantage of every opportunity that India offers you. I'll just kind of add a few things on about the trek, really. Obviously, we haven't kind of discussed it in a great deal of detail, but I wanted to kind of go through that a little bit more as well, and just kind of talk about the trekking and the length of time you're trekking, and the difficulties and the challenges that come with this trip as well. So I'm just going to kind of quickly run through the itinerary and sort of explain in more detail what to expect from this challenge, and hopefully inspire people to want to join us. So the trip is next October, as in October 2021, not next October as in this year. So what we'll do is we fly into Delhi. Now, Jill, you've spent a lot of time in Delhi, haven't you? It's quite a special place. Do you want to give us a kind of an overview of what you would say Delhi is like?
I really want to know. I mean, Delhi's just chaos. It's just chaos. I mean, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see. It's something you've never seen before. Every inch of the road is covered with all manner of transport and animals and things, and the noise that the horns don't stop. Of course, there's good places to see in Delhi as well, interesting places to see. But I've got to admit, you've got to do it. You've got to be there. You've got to see it. But it's good to get out.
It's an assault on the senses. Sorry,
I was just about to say the same thing. It's a barrage of the senses. It's everything: the sights, the smells, the noise. It's incredible, but yeah, it can be quite a bit of a shock when you first step out of that airport and you just see it all, and it's like, where am I?
But it's incredible. Journey from the airport to the hotel, just hilarious. Just hilarious.
I think that's one of the things that makes this kind of trip really brilliant, because you have that really kind of intense city environment immediately, and then, for example, in this particular trip, we do a city tour of Delhi, of old Delhi, so you get to see some of the kind of the more traditional sides of things as well, and then afterwards we take a flight out to Bagdragora, which is a short flight over to the north of the country, and then travel to Darjeeling. So you kind of transported from this hustle and bustle to this peaceful, spiritual place. It's like you've been transported into another country. And I think that kind of combination of the hustle and bustle to that peacefulness, it's what kind of sums up India, doesn't it? It's just that place of contrasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And of course, one of the important things, about that is taking time to relax. So on that first day that you arrive in Darjeeling, there's time to unwind, to relax, and just enjoy the wonderful places that Sarah mentioned. Have a bit of a wander around and experience that. And then the trekking begins the following day. So it's a few hours drive over to Rimbik where we start the trek, and it's a straight away getting uphill. So we chuck you in at the deep end and go on our trekking through this beautiful forest and passing these small villages along the way until you reach your tea house for the night in a small place called Gumbadara, 2,300 meters, so not too high in altitude, but the views from there are just spectacular. The name of the town is translated to Hilltop Monastery, and that's because there's a monastery there, and there's some amazing views from the hilltop. So the first day of trekking is only a couple of hours, so we just kind of ease you into it, but it is pretty steep, and you get that amazing kind of first day to get that heart pumping and get those amazing views from the beginning. And from there we've got a few more days of trekking, sort of gently increasing in altitude as we go, going through dense alpine forests, small villages, and that's something as well. You guys will probably agree with me. Going through villages as you're trekking is something very special. It adds that something else. It's not just about the beautiful scenery. It's about meeting the people and seeing how they live. Sarah, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, it's certainly one of the highlights. I think in India particularly, you sort of walk through these villages, and depending on the time of day, you might see a whole load of children like on their way to or from school, and they're all looking so smart and immaculate in their uniform, and they're all so keen and eager to practice their English and to have say hello and have a chat with you. Everyone is just so open and friendly. I think because it's not really on the main tourist trail in India, it's not like hordes of people are coming through and spoiling the environment. They are genuinely excited to see us, and that's obviously reciprocated. It's a real highlight.
Definitely. And of course, staying in the tea houses every night as well, that's also quite a special experience, isn't it? You're in a reasonably comfortable environment, albeit they're very simple and basic, but eating the food prepared by your hosts at the tea house, that's really special as well. Rubia, you've stayed in tea houses before. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit about how that works and what it's like?
Yeah, I think it's just the honesty of it all. It just feels so real. Like you say, they're very, very basic, but the warmth you get, physical warmth as well when you're quite high up, the sitting around a fire, the camaraderie between your groups, it's just an incredible place to stay. And like if you haven't stayed in a tea house before, it's like nothing else you have done. And just able to sit and rest after trekking all day in such an environment. Like you say, it's very simple, but it's comfortable, and the people are always so warm and welcoming, and the hospitality is like nothing else, honestly. And the food, you have to mention the food. It's incredible, and it's all good home cooked food. You can kind of smell it as you're walking up to the places, but yeah, it's really good.
Definitely.
We haven't talked much about food, but no, I would like to add that often when people are going to India for the first time, sometimes they just say, I can't eat curry, I don't like curry. Well, it's a bit like saying you don't like Italian food, because it's so varied. It's not just curry. And all the different regions, the food, the type of food they cook, the way they cook it, the ingredients they cook with, it varies so much, and the street food is just sensational. And it is, as you've probably gathered now, if you've been on our trips and listened to any of these broadcasts, that food's important to us, and the way we give you a food experience on this. So you will it's not just the curry, it's something quite different from that, and you'll eat different types of Indian food, and you'll come back with a completely different view.
Completely agree. Yeah, the food is something that definitely makes me come back. Oh, go on, Rubia.
Sorry, I was just going to say, even if you have curry, it's not like curry you get here. It's completely different. Like Indian food in India is so different to Indian food you get here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's far better, and it will kind of spoil you in a way, because you'll come back home and wish that you could eat the same thing again, and you can't find anything quite the same as you've had when you were there. So yeah, after sort of settling in for every night at the tea house, you wake up for a hearty breakfast and then continue trekking again. And like I said, it's a 4-day trek, and each day offers different kinds of scenery. It's just spectacular, and you have this amazing opportunity while you're trekking to not only experience, of course, meeting the local people, but also getting to know your group and your fellow trekkers as well. And I think that's something that's really, really important to mention, is that a lot of people that join our treks are actually solo travellers. So probably, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but it's a reasonably high percentage of our group. They sign up not knowing anyone else on the trip, and there's something very special about being able to do that and taking that leap. You end up, as a group, often complete strangers, meeting at the airport for the first time at the beginning of this incredible adventure, and you end up making these amazing connections with people that you might not ever come across in other walks of life. So it's a really special thing. And Rubia, Sarah, and Jill as well, do you have any kind of comments to add to that about how it feels to experience that group dynamic and how things develop?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first trip, I didn't actually meet everyone in the UK. I flew out earlier, so I met everyone in a foreign country, didn't know anyone. There was a few faces that I saw from the information evening, so I kind of knew who to expect, but it was literally just meeting up with people in the morning. They just arrived, I'd been there a few days already, and it was a bit of a shock, but you soon make friends for life, and it's just a group dynamic instantly. You're in such close proximity with someone experiencing a life-changing experience. You can't not make friends with these amazing people. It's just, it's special. You like you say, I'm sure the rest of you will agree, the people who come on the trips, you stay in contact with, and like you say, you can make friends for life.
Definitely.
I think when you've had that shared experience out on these, you've had these amazing experiences, and as much as you want to share that with all your friends and family back home and tell them all about it, you can't quite explain it ever quite well enough. So just to be able to chat to the friends that you made on that trip where you have got that same common experience is something really special.
And I think we can see that on Facebook. We've got a number of people that have travelled with us and travelled with each other again and again. So I'll just do a quick shout out to Ian, David, Sue, and Alan, who have commented good morning. So good morning back to you. It's lovely to see you. I think between you, everyone that's on the chat has travelled with one or one other person. So it's amazing that you have those kind of fantastic connections that just stay with you, and friendships that you would never expect to make. So really, really special. So I hope that has given you kind of a good overview of the trip and what to expect. Ruby, are we going to be doing a photo competition again, aren't we? Do you want to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, so we thought, we've got thousands and thousands of pictures ourselves, but we love seeing your pictures as well. So with this week's competition, it is mountain photos. So you get bonus points if they're in India, but it can be from any of our trips. Just share your pictures in the comments, and we'll pick our favourite and stick it up on our Facebook page once we've got them all. So yeah, get pictures in.
Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing all of those. So we're going to wrap it up here. Just let you know what we've got coming up next week. We have another special guest joining us. Trevor Wrigley is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about kit and equipment and packing and all of the wonderful things that come with preparing for a trip in terms of kit and equipment. So I hope you're going to join us next week. So it'll be 11 o'clock on Thursday of next week. And if you've got any questions about the Himalaya trek we've been talking about today, or India, or anything else that you're curious about, then pop your comments in the comments below, or you can send us an email, info@different-travel.com, or visit our website, and we'd be very happy to help. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.